Hi. So I want to tell you about the first time I ever got to go to Europe. I went with uh, three girlfriends. One of them, ironically, was also my boss at the time. Her name's Shelly. Her daughter at the time was 16. Her name is Anastasia or Stacia. Um, and then our other friend, Vicky. So I had been wanting to go to Italy pretty much forever, and I always, had it in my mind that was the first country I ever wanted to visit when I finally did get to go to Europe. So Shelly and I had been talking about it, and I had even picked up a second job working at another salon down in Chicago, and then this one was out in the burbs where I used to live. So anyway, and she and I kind of half-heartedly said, all right, well, in 2 years, let's go, or I think it was like a year and a half or something. So I had been pretty much taking all of the money that I was making at the other salon and putting it aside because I really wanted to go, and wasn't quite sure how much it was going to cost, but I knew it was probably going to be one of the most expensive vacations I had ever taken. So the time had come, and Shelly was still kind of procrastinating. So I jokingly said, well, if you don't want to go, I'll just go without you. And the next thing I know, she had called the travel agent and said, we're leaving in 7 weeks. So after we made all the arrangements, and it was like suddenly, okay, I'm doing this. I finally get to do this. I was so excited. So we were flying into Barcelona, Spain. We were it was a 7-day cruise. You're technically gone for 9 because it's pretty much an 8-hour flight over there. And so I was really, we were all really excited. Like I said, Stacia was 16. She was in high school. And so she was taking Spanish classes. So we're like, well, cool. And, up until that time that we were leaving, I had an Italian language disc that I was listening to in my car. So I could, find out, ask to go to the bathroom and things like that. So we took the flight, and sure enough, 3 days before we go, I started coming down with a head cold. So I was scared to death that I was going to end up having to try and deal with Italian doctors or something like that. So managed to get to a doctor, all that good stuff. Was taking Benadryl and everything like that. Anyway, so we get to Italy. Or I'm sorry, we get to Spain, and it was just amazing. Barcelona is, I want to go back so bad because there's so much that we didn't get to see. We were there for, probably about 24 hours, and our cab driver didn't know much English, but he tried to ask us about Hillary Clinton, and we just kind of laughed at it. And then Stacia realized that her Spanish was way different than technically Spain, Spain Spanish. So it was sort of helpful that we had her there, but at the same time, the dialect was completely different. So we got on the boat the next day, and our first stop then was actually a port in France. Another absolutely breathtaking place. You could do an excursion to Monte Carlo, and Cannes, and a couple other cities like that. And then, and I was actually, that first night on the boat, I was totally feeling it. I wasn't totally nauseous, but I could totally feel everything on the boat. And fortunately, by the next day, I was feeling better. And then, let's see, then we went to, the next stop was Florence, and we just decided that we wanted to just walk around. It was a Monday, so unfortunately the museums were closed, but they had a replica of David outside. We found a beautiful little outside cafe. It was in June, so the weather was perfect. And we sat outside and we ordered Chianti and ate pasta, and it was so beautiful, just the streets and seeing their itty bitty cars and their really, really old basilicas. I mean, it was absolutely gorgeous. I want to go back to Florence. I could stay there forever. The next day, so, you get back on the boat. The next day we were in Rome, which just, I was completely in awe. The bus takes you basically right outside of Vatican City. And we kept looking. We weren't quite sure our, kind of guides that we had that day. That one that we had that day spoke very broken English. It was all monotone, and I couldn't listen to it. So my friends also apparently weren't paying attention because we couldn't figure out how really to get around the city. So we walked Rome. Like, we went from, and I don't know if you guys have looked at a map, but we walked from Vatican City all the way over to the Colosseum, which is a very long walk, but we got to see the city. And we saw that other really, really old building. It just looks like it comes from, seriously, like medieval times. It's like the Cathedral of the Angels or something like that. And then we did go to De Trevi Fountain, and I was the only one who, made the wish and threw it over my shoulder. So I am hoping to go back. So much fun. It was so beautiful. Probably my favorite part of the trip was the following day. We had gone down to the Amalfi Coast. And that day we had actually decided to do a full excursion where we had a guided tour the entire time. We had someone who would explain things and point things out and everything. And that woman, her name was Manuela, and she would refer to all of us on the bus as her bambinos. And it was just so cool. She took us into Pompeii, and we got to walk around. I thought about becoming an archaeologist that day because I really wanted to dig something up. We got to eat in the town of Amalfi, and it was absolutely beautiful. I mean, I had, one of the main things that I had to do when I was in Italy was buy a pair of Italian leather shoes, and I managed to do that in Amalfi. So, I mean, I've kept the box and the bag and a little brochure thing in there. It was an absolutely breathtaking, unforgettable day in there. And I tell people now, when I die, just take me back to Amalfi and drop kick me off a cliff. Just take my urn and find a footballer, let it go. And then the last day, we went down to the island of, we went to the city of Palermo down there in Sicily, and then it was also really cool. But you could see like bullet holes in the walls and stuff, so a lot of wars had happened there. And then it was a full day back up to Barcelona in the sea. Like we just hung out in the pools. It was really, really cool. I really want to go back, and this time just travel in Italy. Like, my husband's never been to Europe, so my hope is post-graduation, we never had a honeymoon, let's go to Europe for 2 weeks, and can I squeeze in Italy again, and maybe just hang out in Florence for a few days. It was wonderful.